What's up, guys? This is Darrell. Today's movie review is going to be over Spider-Man Far From Home, directed by John Watts and starring Tom Holland and Jake Gyllenhaal. John Watts also directed the first Spider-Man Homecoming movie. I think it was in 2017, I want to say. Besides that, he hasn't really done any noteworthy movies. I think he did three other ones before, but I've never heard of them or anything like that. So besides Far From Home and Homecoming, this is his first time directing anything of this significance. First of all, spoilers, if you guys haven't seen the movie, go watch it real quick and then come back and then check out my review, because this is a full review. So just like any other Marvel movie, it seems like the Marvel Cinematic Universe could do no wrong, because this movie was amazing. With the exception of Thor: The Dark World, and I want to say maybe the first Hulk, these movies are just getting better and better. It's kind of hard to top Avengers Endgame, obviously, because it just had so much going for it. But this independent movie with just Spider-Man, it did so well, and they could have gone so much different ways with the storyline, and they decided to go this way, and I'm actually glad that they did. From the trailers, I wasn't so sure about the whole elementals thing, and then they've switch it up on you, which is great. So for the intro of this movie, they decided to do like a Windows Vista slideshow where they make like a tribute to Iron Man, and it's really funny and really good. It has a good like funny song at the beginning, and I thought that was a good way to introduce just the movie. It has a kind of like a lighter feeling than most of them, because he's still a high school kid, you know. And I like the fact that they added the whole 5-year, they call it a blip. Some kids are, 5 years older, and other kids are just the same age, because they come back just like that. And I'm glad that they addressed that, because honestly, I didn't even think about that. So they have those elements in it where you just have to figure it out. And Marvel is so good at thinking about those little details that just truly just make everything about the movie even better. The storyline for this movie, like I said, it's so good. They could have gone a million different ways with the whole Elementals thing. The Elementals is from the Marvel comics, obviously, but it's a little less known than most of the major villains, so I was surprised that they decided to do it that way. And then they have just Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio, just turning bad. In the first Spider-Man, they had the Vulture as the main villain. You don't have to know a whole lot about Spider-Man to know the Vulture. I mean, he's pretty well known, not as well known as Green Goblin or anything like that, but he's a little more well known than most of the supervillains in the comics. So I'd like to think that they would be able to match that pace with someone just as big. And they just give you the elementals at the beginning in the trailers, and you're kind of not feeling it. I wasn't really feeling it very much, but they decided to do the whole switch up with Mysterio thing, as he's the actual main villain, and I'm glad that they did it that way. I love the fact that they used the projections from Tony Stark's tech as the means that Mysterio can use these illusions, because in the comics he's an actual illusionist, and it was just kind of hard to see how they were going to play it into the MCU, and they decided to go that way, which is, it's so great because it gives you a plausible explanation, as opposed to not taking anything away from Doctor Strange, but you can just chalk it up to magic. Oh, I can do this because magic. And they decided not to go that route, and I'm glad that they did, because Mysterio, he's not like a super bad villain. I mean, he's like an evil character, but he's not that tough. And for them to make him just a human who has his tech, compared to Spider-Man, who has like superpowers, but he's mostly just like Iron Man. He has a suit, his smarts, and then he has these powers as well. The CGI for this movie was amazing. Just like the Marvel, they have unlimited budget, so you can only expect the best of the best for what Hollywood has to offer. The pacing of this movie is great, and they kind of just do a straight up superhero bright color schemes with this movie, and it's not bad. It's just the MCU has done a pretty good job about staying consistent and how the film itself actually looks as far as the colors go, and I'm glad that they're deciding to keep on with those specific color schemes and all of that. The comedy in this movie was great. The MCU tries to keep it a little more light paced throughout the movie, which I appreciate, because it doesn't have to be so dark, just because it's a comic movie and you have all these crazy things going on. It's like epic proportions about always someone needs to be saved. It's whether it's the Earth or whether it's the galaxy or something. It doesn't have to be super deep, and the comic relief in this movie was very well done. I will say that every mention of Robert Downey Jr.'s character, Iron Man / Tony Stark, it just puts you right back into, it just takes you back to Endgame and the emotional investment you have in these movies. And you know, it didn't feel like they were just using that as an easy way in to relate to the audience. So I appreciate that. Marvel has done such a good job about making an actual world that when every time you go watch these movies, it's more than just one film. You're thinking about how this affects the entire franchise and how this affects the entire MCU. And the fact that they put those little other mentions of other characters, they mentioned Thor, they mentioned Captain America, Black Widow, all those other characters, that they're still relevant in this movie even if they're not in this movie. As far as performances go, Tom Holland did an incredible job with Spider-Man. He does even better job than the first movie. You got to give it up to this young kid. I mean, I think we're the same age. I think he's 23. He does so well making this character his own and giving his own spin on it, and just the emotional investment. You can really tell that he puts the hours, because a lot of fans care about this character. Spider-Man is one of the most influential superheroes of all time. Whenever you grow up, you think about Spider-Man, you think about Superman, you think about Batman, those main ones. Spider-Man is the one you think of when you think of Marvel. Well, at least as far as my generation is concerned, I think that that's what you pick on. And he has a lot of hype built up for these movies, and Tom Holland delivers, and he is a true professional when it comes to what he does. The same thing goes for Jake Gyllenhaal. He does an amazing performance here. He plays Mysterio, and not only that does he play a superhero slash villain, he is also playing another character that is pretending to be Mysterio, because in the beginning of the movie he has all these powers, or you think he has all these powers, and in reality he's just a man with some tech who's using these projectors to make it seem like he's like this big superhero. And for him to play one role half of the movie and the other role on the second half of the movie, it's very difficult, and he does it so well. Jake Gyllenhaal is one of my favorite actors. He's definitely top 3, and it just shows in this movie. He does so well, and I'm not trying to, you know, put him on this pedestal or anything, but you can just tell in all of his movies, especially the other movie that I really like from him, Nightcrawler. He does such an amazing performance in that piece, and he puts everything into his character, and you can just tell that he's actually invested in the character. So I just want to give it up to the 2 actors in this movie who do such a phenomenal job with their part in this film. So we're going to talk about the end credits, man. Oh man. So the first end credits scene is Spider-Man and Mary Jane. It looks like they're maybe Times Square, and all of a sudden the news comes on and everybody's looking at the big screen, and it shows Jake Gyllenhaal's character Mysterio put out a video making it look like Spider-Man was the bad guy, and you see J.K. Simmons playing J.J. Jameson, which is really great. I'm glad they decided to throw that in there at the very end. And then Mysterio also reveals Spider-Man's secret alternate identity, which is of course Peter Parker. One of the things that makes Spider-Man kind of who he is he wants to protect his identity, because he wants to protect his friends, and he knows that just like the first movie, once the villain knows your identity, then he can use your loved ones against you. And so I'm really interested to see how they move on from here, what they're going to do with his character. Obviously his identity is revealed, so they're going to have to switch it up to what we're normally seeing, and maybe this pushes him in the direction that he can actually be a full-on Avenger now that he doesn't have to hide. So my ranking for this movie, I try not to be biased on these Marvel movies, even though I'm such a Marvel fan. I would give it a solid 9.2, which ironically is the same. I want to believe Rotten Tomatoes gave it, I think they gave it a 92 as well. And IMDb, I think, gave it like an 80% or 8.5 or something like that, so they were a little lower. But I think this is one of the better Marvel movies that they've come out with, and I'm really excited to see what happens with the character later on in these movies and the whole movie franchise. So that's gonna be my movie review, guys. I'm really glad that if you guys decided to stay for the end of this and watch it all the way through, I really appreciate it. Excuse me. I hope you guys tell me what you guys think. If you think I'm wrong, maybe it deserved a little more shine, maybe a little less. Let me know. Comment below if you want me to review any specific movies, or DM me personally if you have anything to say. I'll put my Instagram somewhere over here. So that's gonna be it, guys. I appreciate you guys very much for watching. Go to the gym and lift something heavy. Hope you guys have a great day. Peace.